All right, any questions from any of our guests and members of the press today?
Hi, this is for the servicemen particularly. Military who come back with post-traumatic stress, who are either continuing in the military or veterans, are reluctant often to go seek treatment. And so I wanted to know, what was it about Transcendental Meditation, the technique, that encourages them to actually go get treatment, and what were their effects compared to the other treatments that they were receiving prior to learning TM?
We have made an outreach to the federal government. We speak to organizations and companies. I spent 8 days in Minnesota not too long ago, spoke to the Minnesota National Guard, the Wisconsin National Guard. We've taught 30 people to meditate in the military, and it expands that way. I'm working with the Iowa National Guard. I live in Iowa. And they're all coming up with suggestions to those who have PTS to learn Transcendental Meditation. I'm speaking with several scientists and people at Camp Pendleton on Monday and Tuesday of this week. The Marines are getting involved. I'll be speaking to a psychiatrist who has 30 people under him at the submarine base on Rosecrans Avenue in San Diego on Wednesday. And we're just doing an outreach. We need the press, we need TV, we need the American public to get involved, to finance this. John talked about $10 million. I'm talking about $300 million. If we could get 1 million people in the United States who are affected, just 1 million people, family members, 1 hour's pay a month for 12 months, we would raise $300 million and have enough in our kitty. This is an app. Transcendental Meditation is just another app that we can add to our repertoire. And that app costs $1,500. And we want to offer it to the veterans and their families for nothing. And we have possibly 1,200,000 people who need Transcendental Meditation. So the outreach is to the companies. Through the IAVA, Bristol-Myers Squibb has put an initiative out for their employees that they can donate part of their pay for mental health of veterans. And we're going to talk about that tomorrow night at the gala, at our event.
Anyone else?
I think any veteran suffering would want to do what, man or woman, would want to do what Clint Eastwood tells them is good.
This is Operation Warrior Wellness, and the emphasis has been on TM. And there are barriers to traditional care and frustrations with traditional care. But let me just say, as a clinician, to any wounded warriors who are listening out there, if you're suffering from post-traumatic stress, seek care. Okay, seek care. See your clinician, see your psychiatrist, go to the VA. We're not, these options are not mutually exclusive. So I don't want that to be lost. Seek care. Having said that, there are barriers to care. As you mentioned, many veterans don't want to seek care because there is a stigma associated with it. And some of the current treatments are incompletely effective, and many of them involve reliving the experience, which was so traumatic and difficult the first time. So there are barriers and problems, but if you're having a problem, seek care.
Good morning. For all the Marines in the room and abroad, Ura and Semper Fi. For those veterans in the room, as well as those who are going to want to know about these programs and services, thank you. Thank you for those who continue to serve, and thank you for those who have returned to come back and continue the representation. My name is Armando Tejas. I'm an executive board member of the California Democratic Party Veterans Caucus. And what one of my concerns is, if not my interest more so for this program and for the success of this program, is how it's going to target specifically the veterans, if not the returning military who are otherwise discharged with an other than honorable discharge, who are otherwise not eligible for GI benefits and or for VA benefits. How can this program still focus on that particular group of military veterans?
the power of TM, the power of love. Being a veteran means you came from someplace. You have family that are suffering from someplace. We are all on a journey. So what I'm doing, along with everybody else, we are showing love. It doesn't matter who you are or what your discharge is. There are monies out there available and people that show love, and we accept everybody, and we will continue accepting no matter who you are. And through TM, we show love for yourself and for everybody else. We are one conscious, the revolution of love.
Beautiful. Thank you. Let me quickly hit a couple of questions that have come in from outside of this room. One, how do you learn TM? It's a very practical question. You can talk to the David Lynch Foundation, of course. Anybody who is here, you can go to davidlynchfoundation.org, tm.org also. And there are grants for people who need support to learn, especially for the veterans who need support, and that's one of the tremendous achievements of this launch of Operation Warrior Wellness, to be sure there is enough support for all veterans who want and need to learn to meditate. It's very easy. It's taught over a 4-day process of about an hour and a half per day, and then you're a pretty self-sufficient meditator at that point. But it is helpful to go back and have your meditation checked or fine-tuned from time to time. And that's a program that is available free throughout one's lifetime. And a second one is, how does TM compare to other meditations? A very good question. I might ask you to refer to that, but I'll say one thing based on the research. It's a question of simplicity and effectiveness. The simplicity of the technique makes it easily available to anyone, including children from the age of 10. Have no trouble mastering it in our public school systems here in LA and San Francisco and everywhere. So it's easy, it's self-reinforcing because it's so enjoyable to practice. You don't have to take, it's not like diet or exercise. It takes no discipline whatsoever. And the other thing is effectiveness. It's just the level of rest gained, the level of deep relaxation, physiological rest gained is proportional to the degree of healing, transformation, restoration of balance that occurs. And the rest gained during this technique called Transcendental Meditation, which is a very, very deep, deep experience of the mind going profoundly within, is a much deeper state of rest, even than sleep, much deeper than deep sleep, and certainly in comparison to what is conventionally called relaxation or meditation. So it's the depth of rest which has a great bearing on the immediate effectiveness of the practice. And Dr. Nomarothal, you may have something to add.
Yes, I just want to say this is a really important question because many people, when they hear meditation, they think it's sort of one size fits all. And there are many different forms of meditation. Some, like TM, use a mantra, where people are taught specially how to think the mantra. Others are called open monitoring meditation, like mindfulness, where people track their breath or their internal processes. Others have an object that people are asked to focus on and bring their attention back to. These are all things that ask different things from the meditator, and they have different effects on the brain waves, the EEGs. They're all actually different processes. The important thing about that is that if you have one form of meditation that is shown to do something very powerful or very good, you cannot assume that it's also going to apply to other forms of meditation. And that's just how it is, for example, with medications. You've got a medication that works for a certain condition. Even if another medication seems similar or seems good, that medication, that drug company is going to have to test that medication for that indication. So I'd say, practically speaking, everything you've heard today has been done with Transcendental Meditation. Maybe others would also be helpful, but they have to prove that and demonstrate it on their own.
We take one more question before we take a short break and invite people to then remain for some more comments from our veterans and military leaders. Yes.
Hi, good afternoon. My name's Tonya Sargent. I'm a proud Marine Corps wife. 7 years ago, my husband took a bullet in the right eye that exited through the left side of the head. And so we're 7 years in the residual of trauma. And my grandson was just born yesterday at 1 a.m., and so I'm looking forward. I'm a good friend of Tara Weiss and Jerry Yellen, and I'm looking forward to having this be a part of the process for my family to begin healing in order to not infect this third generation. So my ask is twofold. One, I'm running for Congress in 2014, so I see this is going to be a great addition to being in that stressful environment. But for those of you on the stage that have a family, I'm not infected by the front line. I'm stressed and suffer from PTS from the civilian factor, which I refer to as the silly villians. But I don't get the support on this end, and I'm traumatized from the residual of the initial trauma. So my question again is, for those of you on the stage that have a family, how is this a positive ripple effect from a self-centered situation?
You know, doing TM meditation has been such a joy. You know, I'm a better thinker. I'm a better mother. You know, I'm able to have so much more energy. I get more done than what I used to get done. So, you know, it's just an amazing experience, and you have to experience it for yourself. And to follow up from Armando's question about the homeless and the veteran population as a whole, for the types of discharges that are considered other than favorable, you know, instead of our society giving money to all these different places for veterans, they really need to take some focus and support the David Lynch Foundation and TM. I don't do anything but just meditate, and I do that by myself, and I'm not doing that with any money. And I'm telling you as a person that I had 4 lapses of consciousness in the last year. And I have, you know, I'm not a person that's reluctant to use the different types of services that's available for the veteran population. I've always a faithful supporter of the Department of Veterans Affairs, but I needed something else. I was walking around like a zombie. I have a son. You know, I cannot function like that. It was too much. So, you know, what the David Lynch Foundation is doing is transforming history for the veteran population. It's just that simple.
You know, I belong to the elite service disabled veteran-owned businesses of America. And California, you mentioned you are going to be running for office. Well, you got our vote. One of the things is California is one of the most veteran-friendly states in the country. You can change America by starting right here in LA. You have already Congressman Filner, who's a wonderful, wonderful man. So it could start here. That's it.
You asked about how the families are affected. And everybody knows when someone's miserable and they're suffering and they have torment and anger and all this behavior, it affects them, it poisons them, but it poisons everybody around them. When that person gets happy, and when that stress starts lifting away and they get their life back again, it affects all the family. They're so happy too. So it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And for those veterans who may not be covered, if they write a letter, a good letter to the David Lynch Foundation, chances are they'll get the technique they're looking for. And the whole thing about the foundation is to give Transcendental Meditation to any student anywhere in the world who wants it. And we translate that to any human being anywhere in the world who wants it, if we get enough money.